Florence, I think you've made an adjustment or two here. I do like the way that this image sort of dissolves in the center. It might be that the dissolution is a little too much in one or two of these examples, though. I do favor complementary. I like the sophistication involved there through use of muted colors, but maybe the center falls apart or dissolves to too great an extent. When I look at these, they remind me a little bit of Mayan codexes. Well, Heather, we've conferred a little bit about colors in your work, and I think largely colors are okay. I want you to work on the design. I wonder if that central element can be larger, and I'm not sure about the designs in the four corners. What are they intended to be? Palm leaves? They look like they might even be marijuana leaves. I've seen a marijuana leaf on a hairstyling product recently, but I don't know if that's what you really want here. And another matter is that the way that colors are arranged in the corner image suggests something dimensional like a molded jello maybe, which seems a little out of keeping with the more frontal designs that we see with the yin yang and the flower petals radiating. Hi, Nicole. I know it's not easy to get all these different images in one file, so I applaud you for having done that. Monochromatic looks okay here. When I look to analogous, I think you have the right idea, but when I take the color picker to your design, these colors are all coming from one field, so I'd like you to double check that if you go in that direction. With Triad, the colors need to be 8 steps from each other on this 24-step wheel, so you can see that things are a little bit off there. And complements are probably okay. I want you to notice that if you depress shift when you're resizing elements in your design, when you're collaging, you can control shapes so that they don't get squished or stretched. Now, your design is going to have to grow a good deal more complex to be something that could be presented as a final project. Hi, Kimberly. I understand that you've had a Photoshop problem with regard to getting your assignment 3 in, and I don't know which of these you've chosen here from assignment 2. However, I'm favoring the bottom right one. I realize that that's sort of a stock shape, a sort of ivy leaf or something along those lines, but I like the way you've stretched it. It reminds me of French curves. And I think that while the placement and repetition is a little haphazard now, this sort of thing could be worked into a very beautiful design. Hi, Yolanda. I am on the lookout for more work from you with regard to progress on the final project. These thumbnails for assignment 2 look fine. Any of them really would be okay. I kind of like the one that looks like a flag or the bed of flowers. There is a tutorial showing you how to get 4 files in one, so you should not need to add them together in a doc file. That's pretty inconvenient for all of us. Mainly, I want to see your work. Noana, I'm so pleased to see your progress with the design software. These are lovely thumbnails for assignment 2, and your work for assignment 3 looks pretty good too. I believe the instructions say use 4 different color harmonies, which I understand to be, well, not 2 versions of monochrome, for example, but you could do a triad, a split complementary, an analogous, and a monochrome or something like that. Now, looking at your colors, well, with triad, I think the third color, the green, would need to be more of a cyan green color. Also, I'm going to ask you to take a look at those oval shapes that are superimposed over your name, and maybe you can do something with those so that they are cooperating a little better with the majority of the design. And last of all, I would take the word that titles the harmony out of the design itself. That should be on the margin. Well, hi Tricia. It's nice to see your work. I'm a little bit at a loss here looking at your color harmonies because you haven't labeled them. You haven't given us color wheels with pointers, so I have to guess what's what. I'll say the red one is monochrome. The one to the left, that is probably intended to be complementary with green and magenta or so. I'm guessing that we've got split complements in the bottom right, and you're probably shooting for a tetrad on the bottom left. However, those colors must be equally far from each other on the color wheel, and when we look at the digital color wheel, that's just not going to work with yellow and red. Further, I'd say you're going to really need to work the color arrangement. Right now, the colors are scattered around, and I can see you're trying to find a balance, but sort of in the center of most of them, around the area of I guess it's a horse, an abstracted horse. There's like an area. We'll look in the top left one, for example. This large area of a sort of primary green isn't working with the design. So because you're using a design that you've appropriated from Picasso, I'm expecting a lot in terms of the way you manage the layout of the color. Hi, Jacqueline. It seems as though your harmonies are okay here. I suppose with your split complementary one, those greens start off being kind of similar in the first place, so we don't really get the effect of split complements as much as we might. However, that's really the fault of the color wheel and not your fault. And the next idea is how to make this design more complex, and perhaps you could have a cluster of flowers. You know, this is a floral design, but it's reminding me of a brooch a little bit. Well, hi, Amy. I think we can see that more even than having the color scheme just be correct, there's the matter of how you arrange those colors, you know, that belong to the harmony. And I think your analogous example is especially beautiful. When it comes to your split complements one, I'm not sure you have that right. I would like you to pay attention to the fact that you start with complements, and then in place of using one of those two colors, you use the two colors on either side. So the pointers on the color wheel for split complements as you have them are not correct. I think this design could stand to be spruced up a little bit in terms of placement. I like you to zoom in and use the up, down, right, left keys in order to budge things into perfect position. This looks like it's meant to be a symmetrical design, and you should make it exactly that. Hi, Adam Neal. I understand that you've been ill. I think your assignment 2 looks okay, and the matter with assignment 3 is you're meant to take just one design and repeat it using different color harmonies. Now, it's hard for me to tell what you're intending with your harmonies because you haven't labeled them and I don't see color wheels. Apparently, the green one is your monochrome, and orange looks as though it's meant to be monochrome too, although green is a little more true to the idea. You definitely are pulling your colors all from one color picker field. Now, bottom left looks like it's analogous or monochrome, and bottom right looks analogous. And so when you do your final project, which is worth 70 points, this is assignment 1 in week 6, be sure to have a very specific color harmony and to tell us what it is. Additionally, we're looking for a nice complex design that is portfolio worthy. Milana, you've done a fine job on this work. You know, I like the way that you've added the glints, which make the shapes look as though they are round or bulbous, like balloons or maybe an inner tube, something along those lines. I like the way that the circular shapes are woven into the rectangles. And you know, perhaps my favorite among these is your tetrad harmony. I wonder what it'd be like if you made this a tall vertical design and repeated a couple of the image squares so that it was continuous.